Pushing the foot on the gas, puff, puff, pass. Pushing the foot on the gas, puff, puff, pass. Pushing the foot on the gas.
But then
puff,
when something
puff,
happens,
pass.
it's oops, young and dumb. Oops, I had trauma. They use the trauma defense. I had something that happened back in the past. I had something that happened back in the past. And then they expect you to forget their past. Come on, man. That's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. They expect you to forget about their past, and then they always bring up the past. Like you're supposed to. They always bring up their ex-boyfriends. They tell you how the ex-boyfriend you should treat them. They say, "Oh, this man used to do this for me. This man used to do that, but he's supposed to forget my past." Yo, that's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. All right, so I'm gonna share this story. Let's play this to the story real quick. That kind of made me want to talk about this. So this lady recently, a Texas lady, she recently tried. She recently played the police, played the county, played the whole country pretty much, and lied about her son being missing for 8 years. And they just found this kid recently. Like he was like 15 or something, and or he was like 16 or something, and now he's like 25 or something like that. Something like that. But let's play this story. Let's play the story real quick, and then we'll break it down because this is crazy. Think about if this was a man, a grown man that's done this. Think about if it was a grown man that done this. I just watched a movie last year. It was called Black Phone. I think it was called Black Phone. About a man who abducted a child and he put the child underground for like days. And of course, he was a bad guy, sent him to jail, whatever. Had to be a man or whatnot. But this modern woman doing the same thing to her own child. I've never seen a movie for that.
Years, Rudy Farias spent with the world believing he'd disappeared. In fact, this is our first look at the 25-year-old man. His mother says he disappeared. He was 17.
Today, Rudy telling investigators that he was home with his mother the entire time and that she subjected him to substantial amounts of abuse. ABC 13's Brooke Taylor broke this story and has his disturbing version of what happened. Brooke?
Yeah, Erica, and Eric, activist Quanell X has been inside of this hotel. He has had communication with Rudy all day long and tells me for the last 8 years, Rudy told him he has been sexually abused and heavily drugged by his own mother. Now, Quanell X, Rudy and his mother were inside of this hotel where we're at and up for hours today. They have since left.
Now think about this. She pretty much did a crime that people will blame men. I'm pretty sure people when he was was deemed missing, I'm pretty sure people was looking at men. I'm pretty sure people was looking at men for this crime. But she was putting she was abusing this kid and drugging this kid for 8 years. His own mother. This is nuts.
But Quanell says he was called here by the family. That's how he got involved. He stayed by Rudy Farias's side. He kept his head under a towel and says Quanell told us this was really one of the worst cases he has ever heard. He kept getting emotional with us and telling us having to walk out of the room because he didn't want Rudy to see him crying. Now, Quanell tells us that Rudy told him back in 2015 he did run away, but he returned 2 days later and told Quanell that his mom threatened him that he would get in trouble if he ever said anything. Police, she would tell him, would not be happy about this. So he was afraid about what the police would say. For the last.
Damn. So he ran away. Question is, why would he run away? You know what I'm saying? Why would he run away? Where's the father in all this? I don't think they ever mentioned the father. We don't know. I don't know whatever happened with the father. But man, this mother was drugging this kid and hiding this kid and lying about it for 8 years, mentally scarring this guy.
Last 8 years, Quanell says Rudy told him he was not allowed to leave that house until recently, and his mom would sexually abuse him. Then, just recently, he was allowed to leave the house. He would go to work with his mom. Quanell told us she worked a security job, he says, and he'd also be allowed to talk to neighbors. We talked to some of those neighbors yesterday, and Quanell says the only reason why he was allowed to do that was the mom figured enough time had passed that no one would know who he was and that he was a missing person. And I did ask, why did Rudy just not leave the house? He's 25 years old. And Quanell X told me that Rudy told him the reasoning for this is because his mother would give him a lot of drugs. And again, he was afraid to go to the police. A few weeks ago, though, he told Quanell X that he had enough of this. He wanted his mom to respect his boundaries. So he told him he took her credit card and ran off before police found him at a church in Magnolia Park on Thursday. And back in 2018, police told us that a family member did call them because we asked police, did they ever go out and check the house? What did they hear about any sightings of Rudy? And they told us in 2018 that family member called them that Rudy was living outside of a house, but police tell us they never found anyone. Now, Quanell says that Rudy told him his mother made him hide inside. Time investigators would go
Damn.
there, he told me, Quanell X, that he felt police had failed this young man who he says pretty much has just flown under the radar. Well,
They definitely failed this young man. Now, if the genders were reversed, and this was a father doing this to his daughter, the first of all, do you know the national attention the girl would have? The national attention the girl will have, as she should, if something like this, if the roles were reversed. The father would be looked at, even if the father was innocent, he'd be looked at as the one doing the crime, that did the crime. People would look at the father, look what he might have did. Look at what he might have did. But nobody looked at the mother for 8 years. Every time, and people were questioning her too, like, is that the son? Like, nah, that's the nephew. Like, all right. People were questioning her too. Nobody thought to. They failed this young man. This is how you know that society don't care about men. This is double standards right here. Because if this was a man, they would have been looking at the father, even if the father was innocent. If the child was a young girl, they'd have been looking at the father no matter what. And even if it was proven that it was the father and it was somebody else would have been like, as conspiracy theorists would be like, well, the father might have been in on it, might have paid something. But here we have a mother that actually did it to her son for 8 years, no crime, nothing.
he says his mom has been abusing him.
No child should ever be treated like that by your own mother. We asked him, why did you run away? And he said he just got tired of her not respecting his boundaries. And she said that he wanted his own life. And his exact word was, I was tired of living like a slave.
And Rudy
Damn, what does that even mean though? I mean, how was he being raised in her household? Now, is this a single mother household? Because they didn't mention the father. We have to assume it's a single mother household. So in this single mother household, we're assuming here, this guy, young man, is being quote unquote treated like a slave, need his own boundaries. I guess he wanted to move out the house, but the mother wanted to control this kid, wanted to control this young man. I guess that's why he tried to run away.
And Rudy's mother was inside of this hotel. She was going in and out of the room, talking to investigators. And I had a chance to ask her a few questions. She did walk away and did not want to be seen on camera.
Jeannie, what do you have to say to neighbors who say that they've seen their son?
I tried to talk to her several times to ask her about these claims, but again, she did not want to go on camera or answer any of our questions there. I've been in touch with her throughout the week, and she has maintained on the phone with me many times. She says she hasn't seen her son in years, claiming he was abused and beaten, and she said someone had kidnapped him. As for whether she faces any charge, we're still waiting on that from HPD. They did put out a tweet saying that detectives are not at a position at this time to discuss any specifics from that interview, and they
That's
can't say
crazy.
right now whether that interview that we heard from Quanell X, everything we've heard is entirely true or not. They did say detectives are going to be available tomorrow. Many people have questions. We do as well. So we will be at that press conference and we will be asking detectives for more information of what happened here, especially after those shocking claims. We're live in Ottawa. I'm Brooke Taylor, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
All right.
These are here to make sure that anything that I say is legally indisputable.
So this is still recent. This is still fresh, recent story. So it might change. It might change where the mother might get a charge or whatnot. However, if this was a father that did this, if this was a man that did this, we all know the father would have been arrested immediately, charged immediately. He probably would have had the trial already. We probably would have known the backstory. We'll know why he would have done this. He would have been a pet. You know what I'm saying? They would have gave him all the labels. They would have called him everything. They would have called him everything. They would have shamed him everything. However, since this was a woman, oh, she can get away with it. 8 years. Nobody thought to look into her to see if she might have done something to the child. They just thought, oh, we're gonna take our word for it. drugging, abusing, and this is crazy. This is nuts. But this is the double standards that's hurting our society right here. These minor women are committing these type of crimes or whatnot, and what they're doing is making it more. And what they're doing is committing crimes and making it look like these women can do whatever they want and get away with it.